Welcome back. We're continuing our deep dive into non-invasive brain stimulation, or NIBS. In this part, we're really getting into the weeds of how it's being used for acquired brain injuries. Think stroke and TBI. And then looking ahead to the truly revolutionary breakthroughs on the horizon.
So here's our roadmap. First, we'll unpack the big challenges holding back brain injury rehab today. Then, we'll explore two incredible future trends that are set to change everything: precision targeting and protocols that can go deeper and work faster. And we'll wrap up by looking at what this all means for the future of neurology.
All right, let's start with the core problem we're trying to solve. Why is it that even with the best neurorehabilitation we have, so many patients who've suffered a stroke or a traumatic brain injury just don't get back to their normal lives?
You see, there's this huge gap between what current therapies can do and what patients actually need. For a long time, non-invasive brain stimulation was seen as this beacon of hope, something that could finally bridge that gap. But, as we've learned, the journey has been anything but simple.
For years, the main strategy was based on this one really elegant theory. The idea was pretty straightforward. After an injury to one side of the brain, the healthy side gets a little too bossy, and it starts suppressing the injured side, which gets in the way of recovery. So the goal was to restore balance, either by boosting the damaged side or calming down the healthy one.
And this is where that elegant theory collided with messy reality. You see, while the model made perfect sense on paper, when it was put to the test in big clinical trials, I'm talking about major studies like NETs and Transport 2, the results were, well, they were disappointing. The approach didn't show any significant benefits over a placebo.
So what that tells us is that the field basically hit a wall. Patient results were all over the map. We were using this one-size-fits-all protocol for everybody, no matter how different their injuries were, and we were focusing way too simplistically on just one spot, like the motor cortex. All of this meant we just weren't seeing consistent, long-lasting results.
So, if the old way isn't working, where do we go from here? This brings us to the future, and the first major leap forward is a fundamental shift away from simple targeting and toward what we call precision targeting.
This is a total paradigm shift. Instead of thinking of the brain as just a collection of different spots, we now see it for what it is, a complex web of interconnected networks. A brain injury doesn't just damage one location, it disrupts communication across an entire network. So the new goal isn't just to zap one spot, but to actually repair that network-level conversation.
And here's how we get that precision. With advanced imaging tools like functional MRI, we can literally map out a patient's unique brain network. We can see the exact points of disruption, the broken hubs, and then create a stimulation plan that's completely personalized. We're moving away from a generic target like the motor cortex to a highly specific dysfunctional node in your brain.
Now, this is where it gets even smarter. Turns out, it's not just about where you stimulate, but when. These new closed-loop systems are incredible. They're like a responsive therapist for the brain. They use EEG to listen to the brain's activity in real time. They wait for that perfect moment when the brain is most open to change, most plastic, and then they deliver the pulse. It's therapy that's perfectly synchronized to the brain's own natural rhythms.
And it's this very ability to adapt in real time that makes these new methods so powerful. This is really the key to unlocking what the field has been chasing, truly personalized neuromodulation that finally leaves the old one-size-fits-all model behind.
Okay, so we're getting smarter about where and when we stimulate. But that's not all. At the same time, the technology itself is getting a massive upgrade. We're finding ways to reach deeper into the brain and to deliver treatments much more efficiently.
This has always been a huge roadblock. Some of the most critical areas for learning and recovery, I'm talking about the striatum and the hippocampus, they're buried deep inside the brain. They've been way beyond the reach of our conventional stimulation tools.
And this is where some seriously cool new tech comes in. Techniques like transcranial temporal interference stimulation, or TTIS, and transcranial focused ultrasound, or TFUS, are absolute game changers. They use really clever physics, like intersecting electrical fields or focused sound waves, to concentrate energy at a very precise point deep inside the brain, all without disturbing the tissue on the surface.
Being able to reach these deep structures is nothing short of revolutionary. It means we can now directly stimulate the core engine of motor learning in the striatum for stroke patients. Or we can target the memory centers in the hippocampus for people with TBI or even Alzheimer's. These were areas we simply couldn't touch before without invasive brain surgery.
Last but not least, the entire treatment schedule is being turned on its head. We're moving away from that old, slow model of one session a day stretched out over weeks and weeks, which is just incredibly burdensome for patients. A lot of the inspiration here is coming from other areas of medicine. Take the SAINT protocol for severe depression. It uses multiple, strategically spaced sessions of repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation, or RTMS, every single day. It's a high-dose approach, based on what we know about how the brain learns and consolidates memories, and it compresses what used to be a month and a half of treatment into just 5 days, with incredible efficacy. And now, that model is being adapted for neurological recovery.
So, when you put all of these pieces together, we have network targeting, we have real-time adaptation, we have deep brain access, and we have these accelerated protocols. What does it all add up to? Well, it means we are at a genuine turning point for brain stimulation therapy. We're watching this technology evolve from a relatively blunt instrument into something incredibly sophisticated. You could say the new mantra for the field is all about delivering the right stimulation to the right network at exactly the right time and with the right dose, all of it uniquely tailored to each individual patient.
So if you take away just a few key ideas today, let them be these. First, we're moving beyond single spots to influencing entire brain networks. Second, stimulation is getting smarter and synced up with the brain's own activity. Third, we can finally unlock the deep brain, non-invasively. And finally, therapy is becoming both faster and more powerful.
Now, there are still challenges ahead, for sure. But the convergence of all of these innovations points toward a future where we can repair and enhance brain function after injury far more effectively than ever before. And that is a future that could truly, fundamentally change the lives of millions of patients around the world.